Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host and fellow Nationals winner, Tom O'Corbin.
But I'm only a winner. I'm not a champion.
Dang it. Semantics. You're always a national champion in my heart, Tom.
Thanks. Also, the drumsticks they give you, they say national champion, so I have proof.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that unless you're a national champion.
True.
Somebody from the SEB should have let the drumsticks know that Cam and the X classes are different.
Yeah.
So
how's it going?
Pretty good. We never did a 164 164B or 163B.
Oops. Yeah. How did those daily episodes go for us? Oops.
Well, we did kind of plan on daily episodes, but guys, it was just it seemed like every time we were leaving the site, it was like time to go to sleep. It wasn't time to sit down and talk for a half hour or whatever. I did kind of want to set it up at the Airbnb, but every single time me and Tom came back, it just didn't seem appropriate to commandeer the whole house for a podcast. So
Yep.
Sorry, you got one episode. Like normal.
Hey, they got their episode for the week. Yep, it was totally
like normal. Hey, the streak is still alive, even though currently the episode says 133 or 163A in front of it. I will edit that. It will just say 163. Just I don't want anybody confused.
Yep, all good. I don't even know where to start.
Well,
so we left off last. We were at Nationals in Lincoln, Nebraska. We were sitting in the big tent.
And
tire rack tent or whatever they call it.
Yeah, you were gonna go
and
walk
I was
the course.
driving the next 2 days.
Yep, you were gonna go walk the course, and I started packing up the podcast equipment. That was basically where the podcast left off.
Well, so I walked the course.
Yep. How did that go? How many
so
times
I drove
did you
the
walk
next 2 days.
How many times did you walk? You started on East.
I started on East, and I walked each course twice.
But you also had video.
I stuck to exactly my rule. And honestly, it was because when I walked it the first time, I was like, I think I got it, but I don't want to just like not walk again because that feels really lazy. So I did walk the second time, and during the second time, I was like, yeah, I got it. Like I know what my game plan is, and weirdly, this was maybe like the clearest I was about what my game plan was for Nationals like ever. And this was my 13th year. And I like some of the years are a little fuzzy at this point. I don't remember how I was feeling specifically going into runs or whatever. So I can't say that 100% confidently, but I was so crystal clear on where I wanted to cut distance, on where the time was going to be made, on where I needed to like make sure that I was like attacking. And then the only thing that I was really learning or adjusting over time was more like my ability to like understand the car.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because normally, I mean, I've never done Nationals before in a car. I've never driven.
You did in that.
So that was the first time for that.
You did in that BSP S2000. You did like one run on a test and tune course and then went out. 2017.
Yeah, you're right. I guess 2017. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lied, but I don't remember where I felt with that. I felt like
You didn't. You thought the
maybe,
car.
Maybe those cars felt more at home. Or?
Yeah. Well, you just thought the car drove a little wonky. But also, I would argue that XA, even though you won by like 2.5 seconds or whatever you ended up winning by, I would say XA had way bigger names in it than BSP, like that year in 2017 when you did it. And maybe there were big names, but that's when I first started autocrossing, and I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. I mean, there were fast people. But that was the year that the S2000 wasn't supposed to win. Like at BSP, S2000 can't win.
Yeah.
And that was the reason I was invited to drive that car. And you're right. It definitely was under damped, so it was bouncy a little bit. But I remember meshing really well with that. So there's another situation like this. I don't remember being as clear about what I wanted to do with the course that year as I did this year. And I don't really know why.
I think
so. I mean, I shared this on social media and whatever, but I took the first half of this year off. And I've done a couple of events since then, but I just came in so clear-minded with one of the things that I came in with, I guess, that made me feel clear-minded was when I did the course for Finger Lakes. Because I was doing the course, I was designing the whole course, and I was like very much more caught up in that process than I was in the actual driving. And partially because the car I was driving was I was not interested in the fact like I figured we couldn't win. We in hindsight we should not have won anyway. So I was just like, it's not a competitive event for me. This will be fun to drive with Ken. I really enjoy driving with them, with Ken and Amy, and like this will just be fun. And I'm here for the course. And in that process, I realized that I did a absolutely crap job of like walking the course the way I normally would and picking the spots where I'm like, this is my like those cones that I pointed out on my video. Like this is the visual point that I'm going to pick up before I get to the corner and use that sort of downtime before I get to the corner to find the exit. I didn't do that at all on my own course because I just like felt like I understood the course pretty
Yeah.
intimately. But then in hindsight, it was like I didn't really drive day one's course intentionally at all. I just drove what I thought I wanted it to feel like. And then day two, I sort of caught that. This is back at Finger Lakes. So getting to nationals, it was like, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm just going to walk the courses like I know I need to with identifying the cones that I'm going to pick up before I get to the corner. And I actually, GRM asked me to do a little summary of my event for the magazine or for the website probably. And I think I put it better than I ever have. So let me see how you think of this. I
Okay.
think the cone that you need to find on the entry to a corner is the last inside cone that defines the exit of the corner. So instead of finding like the exit of the corner, it
Yeah.
should be the last inside cone that
Interesting.
defines the corner. Because that's the one that you want to be tight to, and that's the one that defines when you can start to actually like go straight and go towards the next element, or be on throttle and go towards the next element. So, for example, if there's like an inside apex cone at the exit and then there's like an outside wall, you don't pick up the end of the outside wall, you pick up the inside cone because that's the defining one, and that's the one that helps you drive a tighter line. Does that make sense?
So I feel like I've always done that. And then the switch that I've made this year was finding the exit, like the limiting cone on exit, not the apex cone. Because I've always driven like, okay, understand what my angles are at apex, and then that will dictate like where my exit ends up. But with only the 3 runs, I was finding that that was leading to some inconsistency on my part. So there's definitely a difference in approach here for like what was working. For me, like I feel like the thing that was changing the most for me from this year to all the other years of autocrossing was like finding that limiting cone on exit, and then that dictates what my entry looks like because I'm trying to connect my entry to my exit, right? So if I find the exit, then that tells me what the entry needs to be, even if it's just like living in a spatial like nether region of my brain that like I don't like it's not like I like the moment I look at it, I know exactly what the corner is going to look like, but my brain figures it out along the way, but I just have to look at it. I feel like any of the mistakes on my runs is because I didn't look at the exit limiting cone or just a cone that like would dictate like for example on the west course that 3 pack coming toward the finish, like the one on the right, not the one on the left right before the finish line. If I didn't locate that, then I just didn't end up like the entry didn't end up how it needed to be, and I would end up losing time there. Like my mistake run 2 was I didn't find that spot, and I lost like 3.5 tenths just in that one spot alone. And it's just because my eyes didn't get there. So that's interesting that you're pointing out the inside cone, just because I found better success looking at the other one.
I think there's times where when the outside is like the limiting factor, maybe like what you're referencing is kind of a thread the needle like gotcha cone, where you would run it over if you didn't catch it early enough. What I'm talking about is more like in a corner in autocross, like a more basic corner where they tend to put, you know, the defining inside of a corner in autocross tends to be somewhere between like, very rarely is it 2, it's usually somewhere between 3 and 5 cones. So you find the last one, but I think finding the inside one so that you find the shortest distance to it rather than finding the outside, which Tony in the chat points out perfectly. There's not really a point in tracking out in autocross a lot of times because that's wasting distance. So I was finding the cones that I wanted to find, but as I was finding them, I was realizing like it's all about finding the inside cones unless it's like a transitional element or one of those gotcha cones. So I wanted to share that and see if that maybe helps people realize, because it's same as like the visual that I did on the Instagram video last year, where you're
Yeah.
like you're finding that cone early. All of the cones that I found early were inside cones. They weren't track out cones.
So are you having like a glance to the exit and then to the inside cone that you need to look at? Or
No, because the exit doesn't matter if I get to that inside cone.
how do you know what your angle needs to be on that inside cone?
Well, okay, that's a fair point. I was driving a car that like went forward better than everything else.
Okay.
So if I got to that inside cone and I wrapped it,
Yeah.
I was good.
Yeah. Okay.
And I honestly I think that that's all cones, and I think that if you watch my videos, I did a better job driving short distances than everybody else on site. And I would like I haven't seen everyone's videos, but I would argue that I did. And I think that people who didn't drive that way wasted distance and wasted time.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Uh,
I mean, there's a case to be made that like a D Street car that doesn't accelerate as well as it carves, or like an E Street car or
yeah,
an EST car or
it just
whatever,
it
like a
doesn't
low
pivot.
momentum car.
I think
But I
like
don't drive those any different.
yeah, I think like and you tell me if I'm wrong, but did that Evora like have a little like a little pivot in it like right at the end so you could get it pointed? Or no?
Yeah.
Cuz the D Street car doesn't like it doesn't have a front end, so like it's really hard to get it to like pivot to anything. You kind of have to like carve out everywhere.
I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't know that I agree. I think that that's maybe a point with autocross that's not seen as clearly. But that's like to my point, I've been trapped in that as well at other times. And this point, this event this year, I felt so crystal clear on like that was my goal, that was my intention, and I think it paid off.
Hmm.
With both courses. It was just an interesting like observation when GRM asked me like what's what are 3 tips for from your event that you would like give to other people? That was one of them. It's like find the exit inside cone, not just find the exit.
Darian in the chat says at Nats there was a minor delay from the last person's time to yours, and Darian had the pleasure of going immediately after Tom. So when Tom came through the lights and Darian saw the time as he was sitting on the line, he thought timing was broken.
No, he means as he was coming to the finish and he could see the board.
Oh,
So my time was still on the board and he's staring the board in the face looking for what his time is.
Gotcha. I read that wrong.
And he's like, wow, the timer must be broken for Tom. He told me that when we were there.
That's pretty funny.
Which, if you watch my videos, I had the similar reaction. I was shocked. Okay, so let me go through it. We started on the East course. You get 3 runs at nationals. Your best run counts. The first run that I did, the first run Chris did, I did a 51.1. He did a 50.8. So I'm like, all right, hell yeah, we got a race. And like the two of us were at that point like already gone from the rest of the class.
Exactly, yeah. Unless somebody had huge mistakes run one, but just right after the first runs, it just looked like you and Chris were in a league of their own.
And we were like cautiously optimistic that that might be what happened based on how the car felt on the course and like where he was last year. And now it just has like 150 more horsepower and double the torque that it had last year. But we weren't like, we're going to win. It was like, this car's going to be really fast. And then when we finished all the first runs, we're like, oh, this car's really fast. Okay, so we did the 51.1, the 50.8. And then our second runs, I did a 51.2. So I slowed down. He did a 51.4. So he slowed down again. And the car just felt worse for both of those runs. And we agreed after looking at the front tires that we should take out the shaver and like shave off the little boogers that stick on the tread sipes.
Yep.
Just on the front tires. So we did that, and if you like, it's basically they look like little Cheetos, like fried Cheetos that are like stuck to the right at the sipes around the edge of the tire.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they just build up with Lincoln more than anything. So if you take those off,
hold on, I don't know if you gave me shit on the podcast or was it not on the podcast about like shaving OPR? You're like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to shave OPR? So with that being said, Tom, please continue.
So on the next run, the reason that we both agreed was like the first corner on that East course, which was like a decreasing radius left-hander. The car just like plowed into that for me on my first run because the tires were cold. For Chris, it was okay, but he kind of missed the corner. Then on my first run, there was a 30-minute oil down delay. So my front tires were kind of cold again, but I did have some pickup. And then when he went again, by the time we got back, we looked and we're like, maybe we should shave these. So we shaved them, but it was also after we had run like a couple successive runs, and we go in and I turned for that first corner, and instead of plowing, it just like hooked and carved in. And I was like, okay, here we go, game on.
Yeah.
So fun. I still don't know, and I'll get to there, but I still don't know if it was a placebo thing or not. I'm still gonna give you shit every time you do it, but we did it, and the car did get better. So maybe.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure that helped. But so we did the fronts only, and that's when I came across on my third run, and that's when I saw the time as I finished, and I knew the run felt better, but it was like it was hard to like I've never I guess it was hard to feel 1.4 seconds faster, and I went 1.4 seconds faster. So I like screamed in my helmet like I could not believe how fast I just went.
I want
And
to
then
see
Chris ended up
someday.
going near to that too.
I want to
But
see someday Tom comes across the line and it's like 3 seconds faster, but it was actually just a timing error. Like a piece of trash like blew by the laser or something. And Tom
yeah,
just loses his mind and then finds out it was a timing error and feels real silly. I want
yeah,
that to happen.
that would be funny. Um, I don't there's something about being in a car by yourself in the helmet that, like, I think it's the most genuine person that you ever are
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. I've had those reactions in the car a couple times where, like, the time pops up and you can't believe it, or you're, like, screaming at another person like you would never scream at their face in real life, but, like, the anger is coming out or the excitement's coming out,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just one of those moments, and it's embarrassing to watch back, but I'm glad I have it on camera because it was, like, a genuine, like,
I'm
"Oh my god.
I'm
Oh
glad
my
you're
god, I can't believe
embracing
that time just happened."
Look, I'm glad you're embracing being the villain with your laugh right after it. You had like a henchman laugh, like yeah, yeah, yeah. You like if you've ever played Legend of Zelda, he laughed like Ganondorf.
Well, that was day 2. So on day 2, we start
Oh,
again, and
sorry,
the first run
I mixed up your evil laughs. Go ahead.
yeah. Day 2, so that left us, I think Chris and I were Chris and I were 1-2, sorry, and I think I was a half second up on him, and then I don't remember the next gap. But, like, both of us had gone so much faster than we expected, it was wild. So day 2 comes around, we both do our first runs, and they both are pretty similar times, and I kind of felt like I didn't really know where to go faster on that run, but here's the most interesting part of, like, my learning curve with the car. Is that Taylor falling off a big wheel? Is that actually it is,
Oh
oh,
my
no!
god.
Sorry, guys,
Did
for
he
the
hit his
chat.
head?
There's a
Taylor, are you
he
okay?
did.
Oh
Oh
my
my god.
god. I saw his head bounce. Bro, Taylor, I think Taylor's in
Jesus.
here. Taylor, are you okay? Oh my
For the
the podcast just got derailed. So thanks, Bill.
yeah, for the audio audience, there's a video of Taylor at the Big Wheel Pro Solo, which they do every year on Sunday night, and it's
Oh,
like a mirrored course on this big wheel, and he like high sides the big wheel somehow head first into
Taylor, how did
concrete.
you
Oh
crash
my
that?
god.
I've never seen anybody crash one of those things.
Okay, he's fine. All right, we can move on. So on the East course, there was a really slow left-hand 90-degree corner that led into like a 3-cone slalom that I guarantee for like 70% of the cars was flat out.
Absolutely.
For us, it felt like we needed to lift. So the first run I lifted fully. That was like way too much. The second run I didn't lift quite as much, and it still felt fine. The third run I like lifted maybe 30% and back on. And when I lifted that little bit less, the car bit like even harder. And I kind of took it as I was processing the run after, like, I think that was the aero working better because I was going just a little bit faster. And the reason that that popped into my head after my first run on day 2 was because after you came through that showcase, there was like a sweeper that came into like a little bit of a kink where you had to kind of tuck the nose back in and backside a cone.
Mm-hmm.
And as I brushed the brake and got back on throttle, after that little acceleration off the sweeper into that little kink, the car felt like the exact same thing. It's like, now the arrow's working. And I swear to God, it was something like at 40 miles an hour, the arrow wasn't working. And at 42, it was.
That's
And I've
weird.
never really felt that speed related. If I just go a little faster, it will stick better. Because I guess I've never, I don't really know how to say it. I guess I've never autocrossed an aero car really properly, or I've never
I'm trying to
driven an
think
aero car
of
that's slow properly. I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Well, I'm trying to think of like what have you autocrossed that would have the level of aero that Chris's car had?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I've driven cars with spoilers and stuff, but this was like a proper full like Zebulon splitter,
Yeah.
side skirts,
We
like
still have,
under tray with tunnels, wing.
we still have to find our way into a B mod car, Tom.
I know. So as this was happening, my first run, I come through and I see the time and whatever, but I'm like, there was no major mistakes and there was nowhere like I need to go fix that spot. I'm not sure how to go. Like, I don't know how to feel about that run. I think I'm just going to go try. I had a couple of ideas just to clean things up, like a small amount, but it wasn't like I felt honestly like that could be maybe like, I don't know that I'd go that much faster. But then I had that moment on the course where I like tucked the nose and the car was like stuck more. And I remembered the previous day where I lifted less and I carried more speed and the car was stuck more. So I just kind of like channeled that thought in my head. Like if I just go a little quicker than I think the car can go, maybe the aero will work with me a little bit more. And maybe the car will be like a little bit more alive. And if I'm on top of where I place the car and keep up with it, maybe this will work. And I know that this is such an obscure way to describe it. I don't like that I'm describing it this way without like practical information. But I literally was like, if I just channel that feeling in my brain and try to go a little faster to reach that feeling, maybe it'll do it. And I did. Like as I'm doing the second run, is like, oh my god, this is working so well. Like everywhere the car was above that speed, what it might, and I don't know what the speed number. I don't know if it was a number. I don't know if it was a transfer that I was not hitting, like a level of pitch that I wasn't like overslowing because then the car was like stalling aero. I have no idea. I don't know enough about this stuff, but the car just like worked better that entire second run, and I dropped like another 1.1 seconds. So that was when I did my evil laugh. I was like, oh, I cannot believe that's worked. Like, and it came across like it came across like totally villainous in the camera.
I'm so glad you're embracing your villain era though. Like we've talked about that on the podcast, Tom, how you just have to embrace being the villain a little bit. Like you show up and people go, oh no, I'm fighting for a second. And then you and you just be the villain and embrace it. And like everyone else has to catch up. I'm proud of you, Tom O'Gorman.
Thanks. So then after that worked, my third run, I was like, I'm truly at a loss. I don't really know what to do other than to stop worrying about hitting cones. So I literally was like, my third run was just like, I'm just going to go. And if I hit cones, whatever. And I think I hit like the first cone and then I hit another cone somewhere, but I went another 0.6 faster, and we looked at it on data, and 0.3 of it was cutting distance somewhere where I did a worse job on the previous run. Actually twice. So 0.3 was one spot, 1/10 was another. And then the other 0.2 was where I hit the cones.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I did leave some time on the table, but that's okay. And in general, like it was a really interesting learning curve. Maybe that is what a proper aero car does. Maybe there's a point at which, like, if you get good at driving this car that way, it would just be like constantly faster. Kyle Nett said going faster equals going faster. Copy. Like, no, that's not what I mean. I know that's how it sounds. That's not what I mean.
Though
it
was
like
on the Lizard Brains podcast. Okay, so new t-shirt.
Yeah.
New t-shirt. We need an Evora with arrow on it, and it says "going faster equals going faster." There
I like
you go.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I like Kelsey's better idea. We'll have Ryan from Zebulon on, and we'll talk about aero. He'll probably teach us something instead of us just being like, oh, we can have Ito too. Just not that other guy. Anyway, so yeah, I had a really good nationals. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of what else I wrote down. I do think I'm like going to reinforce. I think I watched a lot of people waste distance in ways that they don't even realize that they lost time. So I think if you watch my videos and if you watch my videos and you think you did the same thing, great. If you watch my videos, you see me cut distance in places you didn't and you were there, like you should really think about that in the future. Because I think that that's something, especially this year's nationals, they had those last 3 corners on the east course where you had like the hairpin and then like the decreasing radius right-hander with the pinch cone on your left, and then the last like sweep before the little 3-cone slalom. Very fascinating for us to talk about for everyone who wasn't there. But those 3 corners allowed you to waste distance for the sake of radius and speed that made the car feel like it was on a better trajectory and a more smooth line and whatever. But I think that was a waste. And I watched a lot of people do it, and I just felt so clear like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I know I'm supposed to do, or what I want to do, let's say. And I was really happy with how I drove.
So your west course run looked really solid, but your fastest east had a big mistake into that like fast left after the transitional stuff right in the beginning. Like, do you know how much time you lost there?
No, but if I'd shaved the tires, it probably would have been better.
I thought that was
no. I think my entire, I honestly, I think my entire opening sequence in that was not great, but that was because that was the first time the front end reacted the way I really wanted it to.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, that was my first time going through there with the car.
Yeah. No,
with
I'm
a different car.
you.
I had seen the section before, but
I think you did great, but I'm just wondering like, how many more seconds on PAX could Tom O'Gorman have beaten me? I'm theory crafting over here.
I'm already getting pitchforked and chased out of town by XA. Hey, I'm for hire next year. If anybody wants an index ruin, find me a code right. No, I'm kidding. That sounds awful.
Hey, do it. Let's you know what? XA needs to be ruined further. What's the limits on aero and stuff in XA or power, or is it just completely unlimited?
It's completely open. The minimum weight in class is 2950, and I weighed 3220 when I finished on day 2. So we were whatever that is heavy,
Yeah.
300, nope, 260 pounds heavy, whatever. Um, the car was only on 9-inch and 10.5-inch wheels, so you could totally do more contact patch.
So the car can go faster. Basically,
Yeah.
what Tom is saying is that the XA PAX is broken.
I'm saying the XA ceiling is way higher than everybody wants to believe it is because it's literally a free for all.
It is. Well, it's the same thing with all the cam classes.
Yeah.
It's like once somebody builds that car, like I don't know, I don't envy the job to like properly pack that stuff at all because it's like like from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, like the measurement has moved so much just in like the development throughout the year for all those cars.
Tony's right. Maybe the minimum is maybe it's 2750, whatever it was. We were overweight. But I don't know. What I'm really proud of is I'm really proud of my runs that netted me top packs.
Yeah.
Because I've shared on here, okay, this is a fun thing. I had 0 goals at the beginning of the year. I literally made up motorsports goals for the podcast because I didn't know what I wanted out of this year for motorsports.
He's a phony.
Kinda. And then I've had this life motorsports goal of winning packs at nationals. And even though I didn't set that as a goal this year, I was able to achieve that life motorsports goal, which is pretty cool.
Can we put a little bit of a hand together for Chris? Like inviting Tom out.
Yay.
Like Chris was definitely the favorite, obviously, to win the thing, especially like with the dominant P2 that he had over P3. And he's like, "What? Tom's not driving something? Tom, get in the car." And now Tom gets to like cross this like motorsports bucket list goal like off. Like that's super cool. I'm super happy for that.
So the reason I said that is because I am really proud that I put together runs that I'm extremely proud of and ended up with top packs. Because sometimes you watch the top packs runs from nationals, which I do believe to win packs at nationals, you basically have to have a soft packs. Like that's just how the system works.
Yep.
You have to be in a class that hasn't been really, really, really maximized prior. So like I will 100% say that. That's totally great. But sometimes you watch the runs that got top packs and you're like, those just weren't as good as like plenty of other people on site. There were too many mistakes in that. There's too much wasted distance. There's too much this and that and the other. And I'm really proud that I don't feel that way watching mine. Other than I do agree my first day could have been, you know, a little bit tighter and tidier for the first there was like a course.
Well, there's a couple tenths in like that one spot that I pointed out, but the rest of the run looked pretty solid. And then your West Course run, like the fact that you said that there was 4 tenths or whatever out there, minus the cones, like that's actually pretty wild because the run looked really hooked up. And also the car just looks super good, like especially in the transitions on the West Course coming up were super interesting because they were like close together, but they were but the cones like were in favor, like being wide. So it was like you like vertically the cones were close together, but horizontally they were like far apart from each other. So the transitions like kind of had like a different rhythm to it. I thought that was like a really interesting element. And the Evora just looks so solid through there, and like the composure that the car had, and you could tell like you were just dancing like on this like perfect limit where the placement of the car was accurate and there wasn't wasted grip in the tires, and it's just like you nailed that section better than any videos I saw. So yeah, like you absolutely crushed it, and I'm glad that you got to do that. And also I think it's really impressive that you've barely driven this year, and then you just like hopped in a car and did that. Like, mind blown. That's like super impressive.
I have to wonder if part of it was just taking the break helped some like mental clarity and something like that. But also, I will say to you, we gave Chris the round of applause. Like the car is like at a perfect intersection. He's had it for maybe 4 years. I think he took it to nationals first in 2019, and he won XA that year. And then I don't know what he did the next 2, and then he was second last year, and then this year the car won again. But anyway, the car's been in development that long, and all of it up until this year was chassis, shocks, diff, like a slightly different aero package. Like, don't add horsepower. That's what he was doing. And then this year, over the last 6 weeks prior to nationals, he did his own turbo custom swap in his garage with like cobbled together like hoses and whatever he needed to make it work. So he finally added the power, and yet is like it went from 350 wheel, 270 torque to 450, 450, which are not insane numbers, but it's a significant gain. And I think that's what happens when you add like an appropriate amount of power to a car that's already really good. It was so friendly to drive. It was so easy to jump in. It put power down so well. It had a little bit of a push in the front, but if you stayed off throttle or got your trail brake just right, like it was totally happy. And if you didn't overdrive the entries, it was totally happy. Um, so it's a credit to like the car. And I've found in the past, I know I'm a pretty adaptable driver, but the easier the car is to drive, the better it's put together, the faster I pick it up. And there are plenty of cars that are like, this is gonna take me some work because this car is hard. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is gonna be hard. Even like the 914 was that way. I was pretty quick out of the gate in that car, but it was freaking hard to drive. It took me a little while. Versus this car was just like cake. But it's still bonkers fast, you know. It's like the perfect intersection of those two
I mean,
things.
those are always the fastest cars, is where like the input windows are wide and it's friendly, right? Like that tends to
Yeah.
be the faster cars, because the placement of them is really easy. Getting the most out of the tires is not knife edgy, so it feels fine, like working up to that spot. So you can have the car at the limit because it's not going to bite you. Like, you're not going to throw away a run because you went 101% over the limit. So yeah, those are typically fast cars, and obviously Chris knows what he's doing. So, he's planning on one lapping that car, right?
He's not sure. He's got an offer that's in a much more simple street car with Salil,
Okay.
like he did this year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By the way, I don't know if this is the Chris that won one lap this year with Salil. If you're listening and you remember our one lap talks and
Yeah.
stuff, it's the same guy. So he's a driver in his own right for sure, and then he's really good at building these cars. But he could also do one lap in like a base Porsche GT car.
Yeah.
And he's definitely in this limbo of like, do I take my own car that I'm really proud of but might break, or do I take the street car that's just going to work?
I would be really surprised if the new GT Porsche somehow broke. Though I say that, but the one I was driving this year broke. But that one had a lot of miles on it. It had a whole like 9,000 miles on that car before it grenaded its engine. So it's a lot of use.
9,000. Oh my god, that's not a lot at all.
I think it was 9,000 track miles. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And also, cars can just break.
I mean,
you know what? I think it's the main thing for Chris is just don't put a cage in it, because cars without cages don't break nearly as much.
I've said this for years. The moment you put a cage in it, stuff completely unrelated to the cage just like grenades itself. Like, it has nothing to do with the cage. The moment a cage goes in it, like hubs start breaking, like alternators fail, transmissions blow up. Like, it's like stuff completely unrelated. It was fine as a street car. Now it's a race car. Now it's destroying itself.
Makes no sense.
Make that make sense.
I have to read this fun fact from Sam. By the way, I counted real quick before I do the fun fact. I counted from our Discord listeners who I see either in the live audiences or in the Discord chats. So like I would say our like A+ engaged listeners. 8 of us won championships this year. And over the week, just in general, talking to so many people and just getting little like, hey, love the podcasts, means the world. It's so freaking cool. Because it literally sits here. I feel like we're sitting here and like screaming into the ether sometimes, and there's like 30 people listening live. But it's just super cool. And also the fact that we have that many fast people in here is really, really cool too. So I feel like that, I don't know if it's a credibility thing or like
we're assembling a squad of axe murderers, and it's called the Lizard Brains. Get it. It's the Lizard Brains Discord. It's just a bunch of axe murderers live here, but we also invite the noobs. So come on and hang out with us. Link is in the description.
Yep. And Sam is one of those. So Sam shared in the chat that he and Chris met on a Ford Taurus SHO forum way back in the day, like in the 2000s. And I think the Ford Taurus SHO might be the like least common enthusiast car that has gotten the most people addicted to motorsports, period. Because all of Auto Interests, the track day group that we love, grew out of a Ford Taurus SHO car club. So I know like at least 5 or 6 people. John Vittenvos, again, another one. There's so many of these people who are now like addicted to motorsports and like in it for life
Can
that are
you,
like Ford Taurus SHO people.
dude? Can you even find those cars anymore? What was it? Just the exhaust note? Like what what why? It couldn't have driven like well, or did it? I don't know.
Maybe it did.
Have you ever driven one, Tom?
No, I
No,
have not.
I've never even heard one. I feel like I have to look it up on YouTube later and just see what it sounds like. Because it had to be the sound. Because like Yamaha did like the intake tuning, so it had a specific noise or something, or like aerial frequency something. Ito's screaming at his monitor right now, but it's like some kind of weird, like like a specific exhaust note. Like they did the same thing on the shit, what was that car called? The LFA, the Lexus LFA, where like Yamaha tuned the exhaust note on it. Like where it was getting the like
Like
right overtones and stuff, like where it's like the whole sensation of sound and speed was like tuned by an audio company.
Okay, are we talking Yamaha the bike motors or Yamaha the piano makers?
All of the above. It's all the same company.
Oh, it's the same company?
Yeah. Oh, did you not know that?
Oh,
Oh
no, I
yeah.
didn't.
Yamaha jet skis, dirt bikes, pianos. They make really good trumpets. That's a Xeno line. Like it. My first trumpet was like a Yamaha like student trumpet. Like yeah, it's all the same. It's all
Even
the
my
same thing.
even my mom is sitting over my shoulder on our back deck hanging out as well, and she just went, "What?" I didn't know that. She did like, "What? Why do they make cars, bikes,
Yeah.
and instruments?
Look,
That's so
look,
bizarre."
look. Jonathan Lugod in the chat just now said Penske Racing Shocks and Penske Rental Truck and Penske Racing that we joke around about calling us after we win a national championship. By the way, Roger, where's my phone call? I'm waiting. I don't know where it's been, but like it's been almost a week now. What are we doing? So, anyways, all of those are the same company too.
I gotta ask. I'm pivoting away. How is your basking in your 5, 6, 7 days worth of glory of being a champion? How like have you gotten other cool moments where you're like it sinks in and you're like, "Oh man," or
Christine said something along the lines of like, oh, you're the, or maybe it was that, I don't remember if it was Christine. Maybe it was somebody I went to a local autocross on Sunday for some reason. I don't know why I did. I drove 2 hours to drive like a 22-second course or whatever. Um, I don't know why I did that. What am I doing? What is wrong with me? I don't know. I think I'm broken. Anyways,
yeah.
uh, a little window into DJ's brain like spiraling out of control. Somebody said like, "Oh, well, you're currently the best D Street driver in the country," and I was like, "Okay, well, I don't like on that day I was, but I don't know if that particular." But from the outside, the people who don't know about the iceberg tattoo, uh, they're from the just from observing, that's what it looks like. Like I know that's not the truth, but that's cool that that's what the perception is. Like that's actually pretty cool. So I've had like little thoughts like that. Uh, but I don't know. It's kind of the same. Been like I went to the autocross event. I'm like thinking about next year. Like Peter's buying a CST car, and I want to start trying to get it like in a condition
which is
where
a
oh it's sorry it's another GR86 but this
just in
one
case we have any non-autocrossers
yeah
left.
sorry so it's a GR86 with like coilovers and like a header like basic bolt-ons instead of just D Street was GR86 with like shocks and a sway bar, but this is you can do a lot more in CST. So I know that that class is going to be chasing Lugad, who won this year. Congrats, Lugad. He's in our chat. And so I know a bunch of people are going to be putting diffs in their car, and the whole class is going to get faster because that's how it works. Because there was a lot of OEM diffs throughout the grid for some reason, even though it's such a huge advantage. And so like me and Peter need to get the car ready. So like I'm already thinking about like what we're gonna need to do to get that car tip top. Like it took us too long just with the MCSs on the back of the car to find like settings that we liked. Like this has way more knobs than like the two knobs that we had to adjust and do whatever. Like we have to get this thing in like championship form in a handful of events before nationals next year. Like that's a tall order. I'm already thinking of that and like how we're gonna do that.
Sure. I will say the BRZ that I daily drive on basically stock rate lowering springs stock shocks with just the amount of camber that a car would want is an epic autocross car. It's so much faster than it should be. And I hate D street cars. So the car you've been driving, I don't have any fun driving. And I think just getting it into the window of like that's proper camber, maybe some good like shock spring rate stuff and a
Mhm.
diff, like the car's going to be a ripper no matter what. I don't know that you can mess that up that bad.
No, yeah, I agree, but yeah, I'm already thinking about the next one. So I don't know if I've really like quote unquote basked in the glory uh or whatever. Uh I think I think in order to win a national championship, for the most part, you've kind of had to fall in love with the process. Uh and that's what I like. I like the process. The result was cool and fun. Even though I had squishy wet feet from sprayer water. Uh and yeah, that was fun, like, in the moment, but I already kinda feel like, I'm already, like, thinking about the process, like, going forward because that's what I like. I love the process. I love the figuring out, and I feel like there's, like I'm on the verge of, like, the precipice of, figuring out all these, like, little details with my driving, and I'm just, like that's part of the reason why I went to that event on Sunday is like, I gotta keep driving." Like, I have all these, like, things that I'm, like feel like I'm just figuring out, and I wanna turn those more into subconscious executables where I don't have to think about those things so hard because right now it's really hard to think about those things consistently. Like, I'm still messing them up. I just want it to be the thing that DJ does. I don't want it to be something that I have to try to remember to do as I'm doing it. So I'm just trying to get the drive time in before it's winter.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I have like 3 different thoughts from that. The way you said that. The first one is I don't think you ever get to a point where it is just what you do. I think it becomes more normal to think about those things so it doesn't feel like you're doing it so much. In the way that like when I did this year's nationals, I felt so clear about what I was going to do. I was still thinking about what I was going to do. It's not just like I just went and did something, but it was the most sub executable of like my processing of what I wanted to accomplish
Yeah.
that I've ever had. So I don't know that you can
That's
fairly
what
say like,
I'm aiming for though.
but
It takes
yeah,
up
yeah,
more
yeah.
bandwidth than it should right now, and I felt like this with other things in the past. Whatever it was, whatever I deemed was my low hanging fruit, and I was trying to turn into a subconscious executable. It's felt like what the my vision right now. That's the thing that I'm working on is this like habit of like picking out these cones that are like path defying cones, and getting my eyes to them while I still have influence over the path and doing it consistently. Where like I can just put runs together on first runs, and I think my first runs this year at nationals were some of my best first runs ever. But I don't want that to be like, oh, cool, I did good that day. I want that to be the norm. I want to do that every time, and I feel like I've figured out what I need to get better at for that to happen. And winter's coming, and I want to get that stuff more like solidified in. I'm gonna try to not have an off season again this year, but it's not really like it's a little bit of I got really lucky last year where I had Peter Lear having me fly out to drive the GT3 RS a bunch, and that's how I didn't have an off season. So I can't like rely on that to happen. If it does happen, if you have a car and you want me to come out and drive it during the winter, yes, please. But I'm gonna try not to have off season. But if I do have an off season, I want to get this stuff like more solidified, like more nailed down. I want it to be a little bit more subconscious than it is now.
Maybe we can plan a field trip to Austin in like February. Okay, the second thing I was gonna say is your answer to when like you basically said no, there wasn't like more moments of it like sinking in more. It was more like I want to keep going. You know,
Yeah.
that's an interesting. I feel very similarly in all the stuff when I've had accomplishments like that where like you're working towards it and you check the box. Like nothing really changes. Like the actual the difference from what it has been to what it is from then on is if anything what am I trying to say? It's basically no different.
It doesn't feel like
Um,
a finish line. It feels like a starting point. Like if anything, like
even
it.
though it's been yeah, it's been the finish line for as long as it has been, and now you get there and you're like, oh, it's not the finish line. It's just like another thing that I've done or another activity that I've participated in, or you know,
I
it
would
feels good. It feels good in those little moments here and there over time. Like
yes.
you'll even through the next like couple of months, you'll have that like, damn, I like really did that thing. That's cool. But
Yes, that
I kind
definitely
of I've
happens
said
here and
before,
there.
like, yeah, like the better you get at doing nationals or the better you get at doing, I don't know,
Motorsports.
qualifying or like a championship race or yeah,
Yeah.
motorsports in general, like it doesn't to the end to a point, it is always the same thing, even though sometimes it feels like things are more gravity. Like I know we had some Discord friends, Emilio Moran, he led day one in Club Spec Mustang, and then he was talking to both of us like, "What do I got to do tomorrow?" And we're both like,
The
"Same thing."
same thing.
Literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing as every other local event, every other test and tune, the same thing you did today. Like I kind of want to drive that home as part of this podcast is almost like as unglamorous as it sounds. Like
Yeah.
the better you get at it, it's still the same thing all the time.
So what that means, this might be a good takeaway for people. So what that means is that you're treating the locals like you're bringing your tire blankets, you have your sprayers, you're doing all the like the
Yeah.
things you would normally do at a national event. And then you go to a national event and you're doing all the things you would normally do at a local at the national event. And then you go to nationals and you're doing all the things you would normally do at the national event or the local or all the other weekends you spent doing the autocross thing. You don't switch it up, you don't change anything. You just do the same thing you've been doing. That's what you're practiced at. And if you're like, "Oh, there's things to switch up at nationals for like a little bit of advantage." Well, maybe take away those things and just incorporate those into your locals and your national events. And like, because if you're gonna try that hard at nationals, just try that hard all the time. Just make it the norm. Like, be the
Yeah,
weirdos. Yeah,
shave your tires at every local.
yeah, I mean, if you're look, Tom, honestly, if my local had a bunch of mic check, Tom.
I'm good. I'm
Okay,
here.
cool. If my locals had a bunch of OPR, I would get so good at carving tires. Like I'd be so good at it. Are you kidding me? I'd probably do two at once. I'd like lay under the car wingspan and do both front wheels at the same time.
That would be so funny. You put the car in gear and you just like you're scraping both of your tires as the car just
Yep.
slowly turns the
Yep.
wheels.
Let's go.
And the last thing Luke got in the chat said the first one's easy, the rest of the next ones are hard. I kind of disagree. I think it's the opposite. I think the first one's hard, and the rest of them get easier because of all the things we just said. It's not like, oh no, I won, it's easier. You've gotten so good at operating at that baseline level that it takes to win
Yeah.
a championship like this or a one-off. Let's say a one-off event because it's a winner take all kind of thing. The same way that the runoffs are, the same way UMI is, the same way that like NASA championships are. Your baseline has come up. And I think that I disagree that they get harder after the first one. If anything, my experience is the opposite.
So there's one thing that I wanted to talk about.
I guess we'll
That
find out, DJ.
Yeah, I guess we'll
No
find
pressure.
out next year. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I'll be like, damn, turns out
Excuse me.
Don was correct. Like 15 years later when I win another one. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was, and I never felt like this locked in any nationals except this one, was, we've talked about it before. It's like, don't look at the results. You should be focused on the task, stuff like that. But what was happening for me at this nationals, and I felt it slowly happening throughout the years. I like locked more into focusing just on the task. Is I was so enveloped in the task at hand, I didn't even feel the need to pull up Solo Live and look at the current results before I did my next run because I was so enveloped in the task. The results didn't matter. I wasn't even paying attention to the commentator, Tom, until like maybe Alex, like, cause I was at the line. I would see what Alex was doing, but I had no idea about any of the other cars in my class. I was just 100% focused on putting together my best autocross runs. And I was so lost in that task that what everyone else was doing, literally, I had no cares because I was just trying to do whatever my best was. And if my best was good enough, and I know I've said this before, but I truly felt it this time around, and I hope I can lock into this again. But I was just doing whatever my best was, and focusing on anything other than that was not going to be my best. And if my best was enough, cool. If it's not, it doesn't change anything. I'm still just going to I'm going to keep doing the process. I'm going to keep chasing the low-hanging fruit. It doesn't change anything if I win. It doesn't change anything if I lose. I'm doing the same thing afterwards. If I lost, I would have went to that local on Sunday that was 2 hours away, and it was a 22-second course with like a gravelly lot on a hill. And I'm like, why am I here? And the local was so, that was such a weird local. It was a conga line of cars, and it was like 40 cars long or whatever, and it was you just slowly creep up. Dude, it was such a
Oh, I hate
weird
that.
event. Dude, it was such a weird event. I'm here and I'm like, I am such a weirdo for being here. Like I don't fit in here at all. Like I'm an enigma. Um, but if I would have lost, I would have went to that event. I won. I still went to the event. It literally doesn't change anything if I win or lose, because I'm still going to do the thing that I would normally do, because I have learned to love the process more than the results in any capacity. So the results are fun. They're definitely fun, and they're a nice little dopamine hit. And it is like in the back of our minds, the thing that we're kind of chasing, because we're a bunch of lizards and we're aiming for that dopamine hit. But the process is more rewarding in the long term. Yep.
I wasn't as actively aware of this stuff when I was doing it for the first 7 years. Did we take the same number of years to win a championship?
This was my 7th showing. Were you? Oh my God. Is Honda going to call my ass? I'm ready, Honda.
No, it's time to get back to road racing.
Oh, I got to get back to road racing. That's right.
This is your wake-up call.
Oh, shit. Does anybody have an ITC car? I really need one.
Yeah, perfect. No, I derailed. What was I saying? Oh, road race 7 years.
You were saying that.
That I was not.
Okay.
I'm a little bit envious of your process, your ability to be aware of the process, I should say, versus. At the time I was not aware of it. I was just like, I was almost like showing up to every day. Okay. Let me rewind, put my thought together properly. I was not aware of the process that it would take to win in a class, but I was in classes similar to what you had been doing for the first 6 years.
Yeah.
And my 7th year is when I shifted to F prepared, which was not nearly the like Slayer class. It was more of a builder class. And that's what, if anything, allowed me to win with what I would say was still like a mediocre first day performance and an exceptional day 2 performance. But if I had a mediocre day 1 and exceptional day 2 in STS, in my CRX, the class that I had been in for 3 years prior, I very likely would not have won that year again. And I would still be doing that, like banging my head against the wall a little bit. So I'm almost envious of your ability to identify that process. Maybe it's just because you're a little older. You've done it in other things before. I'm not sure.
Definitely
in your time of going through it.
Yeah.
But I hope that people take away from that, because it's true.
Yeah. I think it's like a little bit of a cheat code for your own enjoyment in motorsports. So, sometimes we get questions written into the podcast where people are talking about burnout and stuff like that. And all that stuff is very real. But I think a lot of that burnout comes from focusing too much on whatever accolades that you've fallen in love with, or fallen in love with the idea of you winning those accolades. But if you're able to convince yourself to just fall in love with oh, I'm just trying to get faster. It's another day, just trying to get faster. If you somehow fall in love with that, I think it's just, everything's just gonna be much more sustainable. And then it's rewarding in its own right. Like when sometimes it will feel like you're kind of like hitting your head against a wall and you're like, man, I don't even know what my next low hanging fruit is or whatever. This is where that friend group comes in. You hang out with people that are faster than you. You have them look at your runs. You do your best to not argue with them. Tom knows, when he's critiquing my runs, sometimes I'll defend it. But then you know what, Tom? Right after you do that and I try to defend some stupid thing I did in the run, I'll be thinking about it later. I'm like, damn, Tom was probably right. That fucker.
I do the same thing when we're talking autocross, road race, whatever. Yeah, it's true.
But expose yourself. It's uncomfortable. To have somebody critiquing what you're doing and telling you that you're not doing as good as you could have, because when you walk away in that moment, it feels like, man, I did so good. And then somebody tells you that you're not doing good. That hurts a little bit. But if you fall in love with okay, well, what can I take away from that? What can I get better at in that regard? That's just a much more sustainable approach to motorsports, to whatever it is that you're doing. If you fall in love with the process of getting better and fall in love with what it takes to figure out what that low hanging fruit is, and then practice it into a subconscious executable. That's basically it. If you can convince yourself that that's a fun time, then you're in a great spot. Now that's not for everyone. Some people want those cheap dopamine hits on the upward curve of the Dunning-Kruger curve, And then the moment they fall into the valley of despair, they go, this sucks. And then they move on to the next thing. And I totally get that. Like I know a bunch of people who absolutely do that. The moment they fall into the valley of despair, they're like, yeah, you know what? I have more fun doing other stuff. And then they go back to like another stuff or a new thing or like, and those people have a ton of fun in their life. But that slope of enlightenment, it's kind of its own little journey and it's pretty fun.
Yep. All right. My closing thoughts on nationals from off track on off course. I genuinely think, and I hope he feels this love, but it's probably still underappreciated. Jay Bullington from JBX, he's like the core of Paddock as far as I'm concerned. Like his Paddock spot and the amount of food that they fed everybody and the amount of drink that they gave everybody and the amount of like they were on the corner and they hosted 2 of the 3 parties, I think, or 3 of the 4, I'm not sure. Like he is propping up off-site of like off course like vibes of Paddock or of the event, like crazy.
Yeah.
I meant to message him. I'm gonna message him as soon as we're done with this. But like props to him.
Yeah, seriously, the whole autocross community benefits from Jay's generosity and also like the vibes he brings into like because it's not that he's just giving out ice cream, he's giving out ice cream with like the biggest smile ever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
and the other part that I really noticed this year is the women of SCCA. They're like holding the entire thing together in a way that I've never really processed before. But like every single time I needed to deal with somebody who's dealing with a decision or with a thing like with a thing that I needed some help with, I was interacting with SCCA national staff. There were women from the national staff, women from the volunteer peak positions, op stewards, like registration, like every single thing. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. And also just in general, every time I'm at a national autocross, I'm like, this is my people. These are like the most accepting and like positive and fun group. I mean, maybe not all of them, but like as a group,
as a whole,
just such a cool group.
So
I have a blast with everybody there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Percy the dog? They're talking about Percy in the chat.
Yeah,
Is Percy that little
Percy's
dog?
the dog. Okay. Sam said, let's be real, the dog runs the show.
Okay, Percy's the dog. That little dog, it looks like it just wanders around looking for like, are you Jay? Nope, you're not Jay. Are you Jay? Nope, you're not Jay. No, are you? No, no. All right, Jay's got to be around here somewhere. Just off leash, wandering around.
But everyone knows that that's Jay's
dog.
Yeah, everyone knows that that's Jay's dog. So yeah, there was one other thing. I was messaging you about it. I can't remember exactly what it was. We talked about PAX for a little bit. No, we're not going to talk about PAX. Look, guys, I think we could do a better job with PAX. That's all I'm saying. What? Like I messaged you, but I talked to you too much today. I don't see where it was. Do you remember what I was gonna?
DJ, I actually chat off podcasts as we lose track.
Do you remember what I was gonna say? I said, "Hey, I want to talk about this on the podcast," and now I can't think of what it is. Oh, I did. I already talked about it. I was going to talk about.
It was PAX, wasn't it?
No, it was losing yourself in the process.
Oh, yeah. We did that.
The thing that I didn't touch on was being present at the same time. So just like not, and I feel like that's part of losing the process, but being present is, I think, an important part of that, where you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future, like you're just thinking about the now, like whatever you have control over. I just think that's a really healthy place to be as a competitor.
Yeah, I think I don't really have an issue with being present in general. So I think that's an interesting. I want you to. Do you want to maybe end on that idea? What are you talking about? Like, are you getting yourself stuck in what you're going to do in the future? Are you getting stuck on what you already did?
I think just like taking in the moment. For instance, before my last run, I was down by like 4.5 tenths going into my last run, and I really needed to put one together. And before I pulled up to the line, I was just thinking like, this is so much fun.
Oh,
this is so cool that like I'm here on vacation, and I'm competing in this big class, and there's like all these people that are here like rooting on their own like little like D Street team, and I'm just so happy to be like a part of it, right? And I just remember thinking that as I went up, And I've alluded to like this like light switch of like how to get rid of the nerves back in 2018 when I had kind of a similar thought sitting on the line before like a Bristol Champ Tour last run. It was a come from behind victory. I took down Andrew Plata, and I was really, really proud of that drive. But I was more proud of like the mental shift of just like being really present and just going, this is fun, man. I am having so much fun being able to compete and be part of the show. Because not every event you go to, you get to be a part of the show. Sometimes it's just like way off pace and you're just not part of the show. And you're like, oh, well, shit, I guess I'm not part of the show this year. But I felt like I was part of the show this year. And I just remember just feeling super grateful that I was part of the show and this is so much fun. And like, I'm just going to go out there and do my best. And I just remember thinking that. And I just felt like all this pressure and nerves and anything that was like kind of lingering in there, like some like tightness in the shoulders or the elbows, it just fell away just by me being absolutely present of how much fun this is and how lucky we are to go out and be able to do this thing. And it just felt like less pressure. And I had more fun because of it. So there's something to being present. And I think I could be better at it, of just kind of really putting yourself in the moment that you're in. But not necessarily like, and this is my last run and I'm trying to win a national champion. Not like that, but just like I'm in a position where I get to compete and have fun and everyone that I care about is here. And well, almost everyone. Christine listens to this. Christine, you weren't there, but almost everyone was there. That I care about. And like, yeah, I think just like putting yourself in that space removes a lot of pressure. That mixed on top of like losing yourself in the task at hand, it just removes a lot of pressure. You stay loose. You just do whatever your best is, wherever your best is fall. Like that's where you fall. Can your best get better?
That's great advice.
Can your best get better? It can, but not in that moment. You can't do better than your best.
Yep. I think my version of that is a long time ago. I stopped saying, I tried to stop saying good luck and I tried to start saying have fun, either while I'm coaching or whether I'm talking to somebody in grid and just like, before they get in the car.
Yeah.
Cause like good luck is literally nothing, whatever. That's
nothing.
like,
yeah.
Luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. You don't get to change that. You've already like set yourself up for that. But you get to like decide if you're going to get in and have fun or decide if you're like going to forget to have fun or something. So like when I say good luck to you in paddock before in grid, before you get in the car, like that's my version of good luck. It's like, don't forget to do that.
You mean have fun?
Because I think that for myself too. Huh?
You said when I say good luck to you but you meant have fun.
When I say have fun to you, that's my good luck. Yeah. Good catch.
People are going to be scratching their head. They're like, wait a second. Did I miss something here?
Wait. I got to share a hilarious moment from the week that I feel really embarrassed about.
Okay.
So I was announcing the last heat and they told me we do the trophy ceremony as well. The announcer does. So like you finish announcing and you can go out and you have 30 minutes to kind of like mingle and then grab papers and you go to the podium and you're on the mic and you're the person presenting the podium ceremony. So I did my first two classes. They told me to go in order from smallest to largest. So I had two classes of 3, and then I had a class of 6, 7, and then 20 and 26 or something. And I did my first 2 of 3, and they only give away the winner trophy because there's no other, like, they give away the top, what is it, third or fourth?
It's like the top third, yeah.
Yeah. So then I get to my class of 6, and there's a top, it's or 7, sorry, and there's a top 3. Well, I was just reading first places. So I go, David Marcus's wife, Laura, she won XA Ladies. And I just like, I start an XA Ladies for her 4th championship and her first national win, Laura Marcus. And the other 2, it's like a quiet, like starting to applaud. And everyone else realized that I messed up. And the 2nd and 3rd place women are like, and Laura's coming up like, are you going to make me stand up here by myself?
Oh, no. I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to one-up you.
Oh no, what happened?
So I was also announcing and I was doing the ceremony and I don't know where my brain just like left the building for like a moment. There was like, cause it was Cam T and there's like, that was a pretty big class. So there was like, I don't know, like 8, 9 trophies, 10 trophies. And I went like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, second. I guess screw 3rd place.
Oh no. Guys, we're better at freeform content. We're not good at structure.
No, Hayward was like, 3rd. And I'm like, oh shit. I forgot who got second, but I'm like, "Can you go back? I'll announce you again in a second."
Yeah.
And then announce third. Oh, I think
No,
it was
mine was worse because Laura did stand on the podium by herself while I read off third and then second, and then I reread hers and made everyone cheer even louder
yeah,
for
I
her.
gotcha. I misremembered. It was SSP and Doug Rouse was the one that I was like, "No, no, go away. I'll call you again in a second."
Oh, nice. That's so funny.
Oh, I
Oh, we're
completely
so
goofed it up.
fired.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way they invite me back to that. I appreciated the opportunity to do the announcing at nationals, and maybe someday like I'll do it again. But man, that's I was more nervous to announce than to drive a car, Tom.
Dude, they send cars so fast at nationals now. I think the old interval used to be something like 20 to 22 seconds. Maybe this is back way further than I'm thinking, but I think they send cars every 15 seconds now, and the turnaround is on the fly between the heats. So I was used to getting in the car, given like 5 minutes of setup, 3 minutes of setup to what was gonna happen in each class and whatever. I sat my ass in the car, and then it was like the first car went. So I'm like, "And we're gonna see these classes. Oh, and we're going." And then it was like 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds. I felt like I literally cracked a Red Bull, sat down in the seat, and never touched it because I never
Dude,
stopped talking.
same. I had a
It was
Diet
crazy.
Coke. I had a Diet Coke that I was supposed to drink, and every single time I drank it, the bubbles didn't leave my throat before I had to like keep going. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I can't drink this. I honestly think instead of an announce assistant, you just have like backup announcer. And if I need water, then you like just jump in and like say some times and say something that you've wanted to say or something. Like because it's like one person on a mic is it's like a lot. But also, I am so terrible at killing dead air. Like if I had to like carry this live show right now, let's say Tom just disappears and I'm just like, okay, now I'm talking to myself. I couldn't do it. I have to be talking to somebody. Like I just feel like a little bit of a crazy person. Just like, aha, the concrete's drying, and we're gonna be seeing some cars and classes, and I have a bunch of info here, and this is so and so seventh nationals. Like I'm like, what am I doing on this mic? So if I do it again, I literally turn the mic on when the first car is being launched, and I can talk about this like random stuff if there's dead air like for the sweep car or stuff like that. But I'm not starting the show before cars go, especially because those first runs, nothing's happening yet. We don't know if that's a good time. We don't know anything about it. So what am I supposed to say about these times? I feel like at
Yeah, good point.
I feel like at locals and nationals, it's like fine to have like some dead air here and there where like you're like joking around with like the sweep car or whatever. Like you turn off the mic and you like, hell, hey, you suck, whatever, whatever. But at nationals, like I felt like I had like more of a job. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's talk about things. And Tom's like, oh, so and so's won like a dozen national championships. Oh, this person has a lot of jackets. Shit, that only lasted like 2 seconds. What do
Yeah.
I do now? Like, oh, that
That's
was
an
rough.
interesting idea. Instead of saying the time and like as they come through the lights, instead of that so much, you're just like talking about who they are in their first run. And then as it kind of dwindles down, you
And
could talk
and people
about
start,
like where everybody is and start to rattle off like the top 10, 6, 7, 8.
yeah,
And like I always try to like remind people of what the leading time is. So like as maybe 5 cars are finishing and they're all in the 53s and 54s, and the top time in class is still a 52.4.
yeah.
Maybe to give some context, but again, it's just happening so fast now, and it's because they've gotten good at running the event for
They're really
1,300 people.
they're really well ran
Um,
events.
Talk her up, pierogies.
I could,
I'll leave
I
that to Guy
could,
Fieri.
dude. Okay, I could probably monologue about food, but I don't know. Like, is that too silly? I think that's too silly. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the tone is. You know what? To be honest, I never. The only time I ever listen to the announcer is when I'm like on the stands watching my friends. I really don't listen to the
Yeah.
announcer, or like when I was like trying to see, like if I'm clean or not. Like that's when I'll listen to announcer. I don't really listen to announcer any other time. So
I do think like, if it wasn't there, it would be
oh, it would
awful,
be
but
weird. It's like a
it's not like the
background.
core.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it does matter a lot for maybe the top. It matters a lot for position changes because 'cause you're not sitting there on solo live, like, refreshing,
yeah,
and if it's, like, it's down to, like, when you and Peel were, like, 300ths apart, like, we don't know for a fact that you're winning when he comes across. So the fact that they go, "And he doesn't quite get there," like, that's important, but in general, like, reading the times, I really appreciated Daniel McKelvey he's, like, the announce chief,
yeah.
being at the beginning of the event, like, The time doesn't matter. You don't have to say it twice. You don't have to say every decimal. It's about the positions and the like the gains and the stories more so. And I try to like embrace that more, but
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right. It's like to a point, it's not that serious. It's just a matter of adding something to it.
I I
I
try
do
to
think I wish it was archived. It needs to be
it
archived
needs to be
next year. Like,
archived for sure because I would love to listen to like my heat and kind of see how it played out because all I have is my perspective. Like the GLTC races were so fun to watch back because
yeah.
I had my race in my car and what did that mean outside of like my point of view and seeing it is like super cool. Like I still go back and watch the top 10 shootout that I won and didn't know that I won. And I came into the pits and
Mhm.
everyone was like, dude, what happened? And I'm like, oh shit, was it bad? And they're like, yeah, it was like seconds off pace. Was something wrong with the car? And I'm like, oh no, I thought that was a good lap. And they got, we're just fooling you. You won, you asshole. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's fun. But like from my perspective in the car, I just did a lap. Like I don't know what actually happened, but it would be fun to
Yeah.
watch that stuff like third person.
I agree. Yeah, it helps you relive it for like the rain race that we did, and you come into the corner like flat sliding, and you can hear the camera guy screaming,
Yeah.
like let alone the announcers. The announcers are like, "Oh," and then you hear the camera guy go, "Jay!" I don't know if that came through,
It
but it
did
was
it.
it's so fun. Okay, TJ, and then I come through,
Yeah.
and the camera like at the exit, they're like,
Yep.
"Oh, Tom!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I still watch that race
like
too.
that.
But I always
Me too.
stop it right before the yellow goes away. I'm like, "Yep, first place. That's where I ended up." Tom beat me. That's why I don't watch it. Ah, dang it.
um, how long have we been going? Do you want to do a question? Do you have any more thoughts? Do you want to wrap up a little early this week?
We could do a question. Do we have one?
Okay. I'm gonna let you pick because my laptop is this is as far as I can reach right here.
Yep,
See how
gotcha.
far away I
Okay.
am?
Yep. Hold on. I accidentally covered up Discord. Let me go to the correct channel as soon as I figure out how to read. And emails. All right. All right. I'm just grabbing the one off the top. This one came August 15th from Brian M. My question: as a grip driving coach, how do you recommend a drive work on getting comfortable beyond the limit? I'm biased, but I'll 100% recommend a rally school. I've also recommended to certain individuals to buy some junk tires and do a drift event. Getting comfortable in a slide, in my experience, reduces reluctance to find that maximum grip level because you know what to do when beyond it. Tom, you did some drifting. Did it make you
I
more
did.
comfortable at the limit of adhesion?
Um, I think I was in a unique position where I was already pretty good, pretty good. I was pretty good with being a beyond the limit of adhesion.
Yeah.
Um, but I do agree that like either a loose surface event, a loose surface school, or a drift event. Like we've had a couple ASM drivers come do drift events in like the Andy Z with that just has an angle kit and a hydro in it, and practice doing a figure eight, super simple in a parking lot. It takes like almost no space. Um, and I do agree that that helps. It helps you build the correlation between like if I do this with the car, this is how sideways it gets, or this is what it feels like to be at that limit.
Yeah.
Versus if you've never done it, you're just like, oh, I don't know. In the same way that to an extent, it's like spinning does that for you. If you spin, that's like okay, there was the limit, but you can process. Like this is not my advice. Don't go spin on purpose, but
My
the
advice
better advice would be
my
go try to
advice
trail break and spin.
is
Yeah, what you're
yeah,
gonna say.
is to spin on purpose. Do it. Go spin on purpose. Once you can spin on purpose, then you can not spin on purpose as well.
But can you clarify? Don't just go spin by wiping out and
Nah,
just
just
going too
go
fast.
freaking send it, bro. No, basically once you figure out like that uh how to like really place the weight on the nose of the car where you could purposely spin it if you wanted, uh then you're going to be really comfortable in entries because you have just a mastery of how the weight uh and your brake and steering and how those all work together to really load up the front to a point where it's not going to surprise you. You're going to be doing that on purpose. So I think like doing some kind of drift thing or like some loose tarmac or whatever, I think that would be useful. Not so much for the experience of like, what am I going to do when this thing like goes outside the limit? But I think it would be most useful just because you'd be more comfortable when you go outside of the limit in general. I don't think you can actually spin a car if you have loose hands on the wheel. I feel like the only time you spin a car is if you do something really weird, uh, or you're too tight on the wheel. I I don't know if you've seen these. For some reason, my algorithm when I accidentally find myself scrolling, I'll see these like British videos of this like teen driving school, and they throw the car into a situation where it would spin, but then they tell them to let go of the wheel, and the car literally figures itself out, and it can't spin. They can't spin the car if they let go of the wheel. It just kind of like tank slaps like side to side, and then just keeps going on the average direction that it was going in the first place. Because the wheel's gonna figure it out. The only time cars spin is like when you make it spin, like when you're so tight on the wheel that the car's like, well, I guess we're going this way.
Yeah, or you're so overcommitted to the throttle that the back end comes around. Actually, my parents have started teaching teen driving schools, and they do like accident avoidance and skin recovery and stuff like that. To teach like a 15, 16, 17-year-old what it feels like and how to correct it. So I think exposure is the best to it, to be honest. And I think if you have the ability to find a drift event or a drift school or a rally school or something like that, great. Um, Renting a skid pad is great also. Um, or finding an event where you can drive around a skid pad. I don't know if that really exists.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise, yeah, I guess to a point exposure, but intentional exposure maybe is the best way to say it. Like I'm going to go have loose hands and keep my foot in the throttle until the car starts to like either self correct or uh I don't know. I have a hard time giving this advice because I've never done this process for myself. I've never done it with another person either. I'm kind of at this point with Jennifer, the driver I've been coaching. It's like how do I give her the exposure to inducing slides
Yeah.
without telling her to like go to Summit Point and turn 5, just like put her foot down because that partially doesn't work. She's on Hoosiers and FRS. That's
Yeah.
not. It's probably not going to come around.
No.
But yeah, that or that trail braking, like you're talking, like intentionally placing the weight on the nose of the car and leaving it there for too long until the back end starts to come around, and having loose hands enough to catch it. Um, because there is a fine. The reason that this matters, I should say, I guess the what I'm thinking about is you are inducing a slide and a rotation are the same up to a point.
Yep.
So you're inducing rotation when you're grip driving that would turn into a slide if you're not controlling it or working with it. And if you're never driving into that limit, then you're never driving the car at the limit. You're driving the car in the pavement instead of on the pavement. You're not maximizing the grip circle of the pavement
Like
or of the tire, excuse me.
just to word it a different way, a
Yep.
pivot on entry, so the initial turn in of the car on entry and a spin both start basically the same, but one is
Yeah.
intentional and the other one was on accident, right? So if you can intentionally start the quote unquote spin for like your initial like angle change as you come into the corner, then you have so much more control over what happens for that entire corner. If you turn in and it's a little bit of a crapshoot of what you get, and sometimes you spin, and this could be like sim racing, and sometimes you spin, and you're like, well, sometimes you spin. Then you need to do some like some exploring on that initial turn in or that brake release or whatever, because where the really really fast times lie is intentionally quote unquote spinning the car, but you only like do the first initial one because then you're shifting the weight to the back, it settles out, and then you get to leave the corner. And if you have tight hands that settle out, thing doesn't happen and you don't get the information through the wheel as necessary. The car can't self correct like it's going to do. If you just disappeared out of the car would not spin. Don't like most of the time when a car spins, it's because you're making it spin.
You ever seen the motorcycles that keep spinning after the rider falls off?
Well, like the throttle gets stuck. That's an exception.
Yeah, and
I'm glad we don't have a motorcycle podcast, Tom.
Yeah. Okay, recently my friends, someone I know, they ride horseback and they fell off their horse and the horse ran away. And they spent the next like 3 hours looking for
Oh,
the
did they
horse.
find that horse?
And
I
I was
remember
like,
I remember you telling me this at Nats that they lost their horse and they were all wandering through the woods looking for the horse.
they got a drone.
They found it with the drone?
Found the horse with a drone, yeah.
They found it with
Okay,
the
but
drone.
I was like,
That's
gee, I've never
amazing.
fallen off my race car, then it ran away. I'm so glad we can't fall off our race cars. It's so nice.
Oh my goodness. You know, racers have gotten lost in the woods because they went so far off track and the track was like, has anybody seen Larry? Where's Larry?
Yeah.
I think he went off on turn 4 and then they go back there and Larry's sitting on his car like, what took you guys so long?
My second wheel-to-wheel weekend, the grass was so tall at Nelson Ledges. They told us if you go off, we might not know where you ended up. So get out of your car, stand on the roof, and then wave to the corner workers
No
so they
way.
can find you.
Yo.
Dead serious. And then they said either get back in and buckle back in, or go to the corner worker station if you're close enough. And if you get out of the car, you're probably going to get a tick. All right, everyone, have a nice race. that was my second driver's meeting ever.
You know, that or hold on. This might be a wild idea. Cut the grass? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it was Nelson Ledges. They were hanging on for dear life.
You know what?
We got the first 10 feet of the grass cut, and after that, it was jungle.
Remember at Gingerman off of turn 10, didn't somebody end up in the corn? Like way in the corn? I remember this happening. Yeah. So I guess it's at all racetracks. Like way in the corn.
I'll give him a shout out because he's awesome. Sam mentioned that Johann Schwartz does a car control clinic on the skid pad at CMP, and he also has rental cars. I think he's got like some BMW M2s or something. And I agree. He's probably one of the best for getting some instruction like that. So if you're in that area, you can look into that. Danny said some friends did it and they liked it.
Yeah, I think a skid pad would be useful for almost any level, to be honest.
I mean, the correlation with a skid pad is if you're just at a constant radius, constant speed, and you put your foot, if you start to accelerate gently, you feel the radius of the circle increase, and if you lift off, you feel it decrease.
Yeah.
And then take it one step further, and they have you bring the back around in the wet and like control the slide. And you realize, like, honestly, the reason that people can't drift or control a slide is because they overreact to what's happening. There's so little involved with holding a drift. And once you understand, like, I think drifting by yourself is like so freaking easy. But once you understand that, like, you don't need to do much, you just need to let the car like ease out to that angle by basically letting go of the wheel, and then you grab it where you want to hold it, and then you hold the wheel there, and you hold the partial throttle at whatever amount of throttle it needs to stay there. But people either overreact by grabbing the wheel or lifting drastically or just whacking the throttle to full throttle, and all of those things just like make everything way worse.
Yep.
Which is kind of to the point of what this question is about, kind of what people struggle with maintaining rotation or inducing rotations. They start to feel it and they go, ah, that's weird. I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
So just like some exposure therapy to that is kind of the solution, however you choose to go about it.
Yeah. So skid pad, or you could do an autocross event.
Yeah, if you're intentional with listening to what we talked about and then applying it instead of just going and trying to like, I'm going to go slide around.
I think even sliding around. I think even sliding around works though. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Some intentional sliding around. As long as you don't get kicked out of the event. Oh, we're getting so many people in trouble right now.
Those brains told me to drift.
They said to intentionally slide around. I took that as being an absolute hooligan at this local event.
Yeah. The problem is we're going to get to a point where instead of them going, what the hell is that? They're going to be like, DJ and Tom told you to do that? Because enough people are going to know who we are in autocross.
Probably. Don't get kicked out of an event and then blame us.
We don't know who you are.
Yeah,
we do that.
That would be bad. All right.
Oh, let's wrap up. You got a coach.
I do.
What?
Yeah. Just want to say it was fun hanging out with you, Tom. We have to do more events together. Maybe we'll do another one soon.
Or at least one. Yeah.
What is it, in 3 weeks? Me and Tom are doing an endurance race together.
It is in 3 weeks, yes. I also had a blast. That's one of the things I've missed about taking events off this year is hanging out with you.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
It was a good time. Do you want to do the outro, Tom?
Yeah, I'll do it this time.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that the filter's not on so you can actually hear it. All right, I'm ready.
All right. I didn't plan for this, but what's new about that? Hey, everyone I saw at Solo Nationals, you made my event. I love your hair, and I hope you win.